Rebuilding Uganda, episode number 9B. Today is November 4th, 2025. The Tutsi colonization plan of the Great Lakes region continued. Fellow Ugandans, we promised to come back with more points found in the Tutsi plan. We decided to expose point by point and explain how each rule is implemented today. In episode 9A, we covered 5 rules, starting with number 1 to number 5. This time we are starting with number 6. Number 6. When the control of all important positions is achieved, we must remove all our Bantu enemies. End of quote. When they say remove Bantu enemies, it is not simply demoting them. They mean exterminating them as they have so far done in so many areas where they have conquered. In the case of Rwanda, Tutsi killers used their daughters, whom they had used to participate in arranged marriages with Hutu leaders and social elites. Those Hutu victims were poisoned by those wives. That action alone created a vacuum of leadership among the Hutus. Only the low-class peasants were spared to become slaves and servants of the ruthless Tutsis. Have you noticed how many Ugandans of substance and influence have died of mysterious health problems? A close look at their lives before their death may reveal to you that almost all had a relation with the Tutsi woman. Rule number 7. With regards to conquering Hutu Bantu, you must use the blood exchange pact in which they foolishly believe. Haven't we discredited it several times with impunity? End quote. This rule has successfully been applied to Baganda with regards to our cherished clans, Ebika. From time immemorial, a Muganda belongs to a clan by birth, not by legislation. This is not something you can buy or become entitled to by any government declaration. But some Baganda elders may have been blindly lured into crowning a Tutsi Museveni into the Cow clan, Ekika, and officially bestowed on him a leadership role, Omutuba, in that clan. I am sure you know many Tutsis in Buganda who claim to belong to the Cow clan, Ekika, Ngabi, Antelope, Mpologoma, Lion, and several other clans. They paste onto themselves such names for the purpose of hiding their true identity. For example, you hear of a name like Mbire calls himself Mbide. Gashumba becomes Kasumba. Kayanda becomes Kayanja. Nyaruhago becomes Narubega. Nshekaimana becomes Sekamanya, etc., etc. They are using our names to hide their identities. Rule number 8. Avail yourselves to the credulity of the Bantu elites and use them to promote our interests and to look credible in the electoral drives. As soon as the electoral drives are over, expose them to show their inefficiencies. This rule is interesting. How many indigenous Ugandan leaders behave and feel exhilarated simply because Tutsis allowed him or her to sit nearer but not with them. They use such a people to demolish, torture, and kill their fellow Ugandans. There are many examples of that. At the start of NRM in 1986, the Tutsi High Command killed Bernard Buzabo, who was a true Munyankore and a potential leader. General Kasirye Gwanga was used to betray Andrew Kayira by giving false testimony in court. He later accompanied Paulo Kagame and the Dragonians to murder Kayira. Sam Njuba, a brilliant lawyer, was used by the Tutsis to justify their satanic plans in Uganda. He was very instrumental in designing what we now call the Museveni Constitution. And you know what happened to Sam Njuba. Museveni took his wife away, and finally Njuba had to run to some remote place near Australia. I think it's Papua New Guinea. They finally dumped him in many ways and left him rotting out there. You know of Paul Lokech, a gallant soldier whom they used within Uganda and in Somalia, and earned our country a great reputation as a fantastic soldier. They eliminated him for fear of outshining Muhoozi, who commanded the killing of Ugandans at Kasese in 2016. They used Anitesot, General Irweru, to kill fellow Ugandans. They used General Kayanja to massacre hundreds of people under the title of Wembule Project. This was an effort to wipe out urban hoodlums, street robbers, and unlicensed fishermen off Lake Victoria. What did they do to him after using him? You all know that. He's now crying. Rebecca Kadaga was used to remove the presidential term limit and age limit from the Constitution, and they dumped her. Just recently, they have used a Muganda police officer called Moses Mukibi to break into a hotel in Lira where Chagulanyi's team was staying during the ongoing presidential campaign. This man has been assigned to trail wherever Chagulanyi goes. Again, a Muganda working on another Muganda for the pleasure of the Batusi invaders. What a shame. Rule number 9. Every Tutsi civil servant must use terror in order to get respect and authority from the uneducated Bantu population. The evidence is overwhelming, ladies and gentlemen, showing how this rule is being applied in Uganda today. Many Ugandan politicians and so-called commentators do not have the guts to even mention the name Tutsis. Instead, they simply say, Abasajja ensi bagitutte, which is, men have taken over the country. When you ask such a person, who are they referring to? They cannot mention the name Tutsis, who are found everywhere in all positions of power and influence. All you hear is that those men come in police or army vehicles with guns. Sometimes they use unmarked government vehicles armed with heavy weapons to kidnap our people and kill them. They take them to torture gulags where many have been killed or maimed. Thousands have not been seen ever since. They expose mutilated bodies for the purpose of terrifying the general public. Skulls of their victims are exposed as is in Luwero district to instill fear in the general population. Any person who speaks out about their satanic actions is instantly exterminated. Case in point, there are so many people I cannot list them. There was a lady called Susan Magara whose body was dumped on the roadside of Entebbe Express Highway. Rule number 10. Using the civil servants we must ridicule and Rule number 10. Using the civil servants we must ridicule the uneducated Bantu and call them pretentious. Many in the Bantu elites will help us destroy their Pharaoh because Bantu people do not care about their Pharaoh's fate. And that is what they have been thinking about us. This rule is so effective that you wonder at the wisdom of those who coined it. Hundreds of indigenous Ugandans are blinded by glamorous empty titles bestowed upon them, plus bribes of millions of shillings, free cars, or functional positions in government without power to influence policies. Many Ugandans are used to destroy their own people and promote Tutsi interests. Case in point, Engineer Badi Rukigundu was used to steal the elections of 2016. These Batusi have groomed teams of ruffians and hoodlums in the social media to attack and smear dirt on indigenous Ugandans of integrity and character, so as to force them out of discussing public policy issues. They created fake opposition parties to lure serious people who honestly want regime change. Once identified, they are picked up and never to be seen alive. Any Ugandan who displays compassion for the people is attacked by the paid hoodlums and the members of the custom-tailored opposition parties. It is for that reason you have presidential advisors such as full-figure Prime Minister Nabanja and many other nincompoops as opinion makers. Rule number 11. Whenever we discover that Hutu, Bantu are caring for their Pharaoh's fate, we must destroy that spirit by dividing its promoters. We must divide in order to rule. End quote. Have you seen how this rule is implemented in Uganda? Museveni has tried all along to create an artificial divide between Bantu and the Nilotic tribes so that there may be a permanent antagonism between Baganda and Acholis in particular. This is very evident in the work of people like Nobert Mao and others. Other people, including Baganda, are constantly engaged in attacks on Buganda and the Baganda people. That way, they may view other tribesmen as enemies of Baganda and vice versa. Whenever an indigenous Ugandan reveals that he cares about the fate of his fellow Ugandans, that person is immediately eliminated. Worst of all, if that person has the potential of mobilizing or leading indigenous people, such a person is killed. That is what happened to people like Andrew Kayira, Bishop Kagwa of Masaka, Archbishop Cipriano Rwango of Rubaga, Jakana Naduli, Sheikh Mzata, Afande Kawesi, Isma Ichuru, Amando the Boxer, Afande Kirumira, Nasantege Sebagara, and countless others. Ladies and gentlemen, that is where we're going to stop for today. The question is, now you know what these invaders are doing in your country and how they carry out their plan. What are you going to do about it? Scratch your heads. We'll be back again. Thank you very much for listening. God bless and save Uganda.